guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be speaking to you about the real truth about building in Africa or Ghana, whichever one you want to take it as. Because man, there's some stuff, man, that goes on when you build. Obviously, so far we're in the process of building our house and we are absolutely loving it. But obviously there are things that we've had to learn as we've gone on with the project, things that have happened as we've gone on. A whole array of stuff basically. So I wanted to do this video today to kind of go through that with you so that you guys could have a better understanding of what it's like to really build here before you start, or even if you're just at the early stages of building your house, just so that you are aware. Okay, now the advantage that we have is that Kwame is a builder. Kwame, my husband, is a builder, and so that makes things like a million times better. It makes it a million times easier for us because he can say that no, this is not how you do it, or this is how I want things done, or this is how I want the ratio of cements to be mixed, or whatever. I don't know if I'm saying the right thing, but yeah, you get what I'm saying. He knows about ratios and all of that because he's been a builder for about 20 years now, and so that kind of gives us the edge. But even having the edge, there are still things that we have to battle with when it comes to building. And those are the things that I'm going to highlight with you today. Okay, so the first thing is there are stark differences when it comes to building abroad and building in Africa. You've probably seen it in some of our videos because I know a few of you have commented in our videos and said things like, why aren't the workers wearing shoes? Why aren't they wearing hard hats? Why aren't they, have the high V vests? Is that right? The high vests. Why don't they have all that stuff? Now, I'm pausing because what I want you guys to understand is that this is Africa and things are not done the same. I'm not saying for a second that workers should not wear boots or shoes, or that they shouldn't be barefooted. You know what I'm saying. I'm not saying that any of those things are good. That is what we are used to, definitely. But sometimes when you're hiring a trade to come from outside to come and do work for you, sometimes they turn up and that's the way they turn up. A lot of the time, especially when it comes to wearing shoes, some of them don't feel comfortable wearing shoes. They actually feel more, they feel actually better being barefoot or in the chalewotes rather than being in some like steel toe cap boots, because that is what they're used to. I mean, obviously, if I go to like one of these major companies, obviously all their workers are going to be in steel cap toe boots. They're going to have the hard hats and all that. That's really good. But when you're doing a project for yourself, it's not as easy to enforce these rules because they are a separate entity from you. So although we have trades that work for us, I wouldn't like to say own them. We use them because we've used them before and they are part of our team, but they also do their own independent work. So having them come to site and say, oh, I want you to do this, this, and this, and this, it's not that easy. We have tried it in the past where we've actually bought workers boots, we bought them the vests, we bought the hard hats, and you'll be surprised at the crazy stuff that they do with it. Like the hats, they'll use it for like put their food in it. They'll do like the boots will be mashed up after like 1 week, like all kind. I mean, you guys think I'm joking, right? I'm not joking. They do all kinds of crazy stuff with it. It's not what they're used to. A lot of workers, it's not what they're used to. I'm not saying it's right. It's not what they're used to. So to try and enforce some of these things is really, really difficult. So that's definitely a major difference that you will see when you come to build here. And also another thing is we don't tend to use a lot of machines here. I'm not saying that they don't exist, but when it comes to like concrete mixing machines and a lot of the power tools, some of the workers that come to work, they don't have those things, or they prefer to do it by hand, sometimes manual labor. So you might see them with the cement on their heads and they carry it up the stairs and you think, but gosh, there must be a better way to do this. Like I think in one of the videos I suggested to Kwame that why don't they put it in a pulley and take it up? But actually they feel like that's worse for you. They'd rather put it on their head because obviously when you carry something on your head, you're more aligned and you're kind of like, you've got a better posture, and for them it's a better way of holding things. So they prefer to do things that way. So, it's not necessarily everything that's from the West that is better. There are certain things that they do here when it comes to building that sometimes it is, I'm choosing my words carefully because you guys like to like hit me sometimes. Well, not physically hit me, but you know what I mean. So yeah, sometimes not everything from the West is the best. Sometimes they have reason for what they are doing. I'm not saying in everything, but in some things they have a reason for the way that they do things. So sometimes you have to kind of like be a little bit more open-minded when it comes to these things. Yeah, so that's another difference. Also, when it comes to working with certain trades, sometimes you have to kiss a lot of frogs before you get to find your prince, and that's just a fact of it. No matter how good or how much expertise you have yourself, unless you're going to be making blocks, unless you're going to be mixing the cement, unless you're going to be become a steel bender and you're going to do everything yourself from start to finish, you're going to need to get a trade to help you from outside. No man can do something all by himself as one person. You'll get sick. You'll be sick. So when you get trades in, sometimes it's, well, it is best to get it through recommendation, but sometimes even when you get a recommended contact, sometimes things can still go wrong. So be prepared for that, because it does happen. It does happen. Because someone's done a great job for XYZ, sometimes they don't do a great job for you. So we've had in the past, like a long time ago, we've had trades come in and do some shoddy work for us. I mean, the example I gave of my kitchen with the carpenter, it just happened. There's nothing we could do. I mean, that was obviously when we were learning a lot more about the system, so we obviously had to make mistakes on our side as well, because perhaps we put too much trust in the people to do what we think that what we have told them to do. So that kind of threw things up. And also, not just that, reliability sometimes is also an issue when it comes to trades as well. Sometimes you'll say, okay, can you come on Tuesday or whatever, and we'll start the job. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you have to chase the person as if they're the one paying you. Sometimes these things can happen. We've had our nightmare, but thankfully we have a really great team, as you have seen on our building project, and that is mostly because of Anani. Anani has great people that he knows. He's very much on the ground, and he knows, he's been in the industry as well for many years, and so he gets all our workers for us. So thankfully, since we've had Anani, been working with Anani, things have been so much easier when it comes to trades. Kwame actually met Anani a few years back now. They were both working at Apollonia on a house together, and that's how they met. And so since then, they've kind of like been in a bit of a partnership when it comes to building. So that's how we get all our tradespeople. And so we haven't, since that point, we haven't really had any real mess ups or anything like that. So things have been good. So another thing that you have to do is you have to exercise patience when it comes to some of these builders. Because I think when we first came, there was a point where Kwame was like, I think one of my answers was building something, and Kwame was very much like, if the person doesn't do it, just send them home, just sack them. But you know what, my auntie used to say, you have to take it easy, because they don't do things like that here. Like if someone does something wrong, you kind of give them a few chances, or you kind of try and get through to them a little bit. I know that sounds really, how can I put it? That sounds really kind of backwards, but sometimes you have to give people a chance. Because firstly, sometimes there's a bit of a language barrier. I've had so many trades not be able to understand what I'm saying because they say the brofu is too much. Like they can't understand when I'm speaking. Sometimes I speak too fast. Even if I slow it down, sometimes they still can't get what I'm saying. So sometimes there's language barrier. There are many different things. So these things where you may think that it wouldn't cause an issue, sometimes it does. So if you don't speak the local language, sometimes that can kind of go against you because they don't understand you. So that can be difficult. So working with trades sometimes can be a bit awkward until you find the right team. And when you find the right team, hold on to them, because they're usually going to be a good team. You have people that will come and work for you who will be all for you, they'll be all for your vision, and then you have those that are not, and those ones will tell you that you can't build this way, you can't build that way, that's not how we do it in Ghana, we do it like this. I mean, for us, there have been times where we've had people come and give us quotes for things, and they're like, we'll say, okay, for example, we want the windows done like this, and they say, oh no, we don't open windows outwards, we only have sliding windows, we only do sliding windows. But we're like, we don't want sliding windows, we want some of the windows to open outwards, we want the windows to be all different shapes and all of that. And they're like, we don't do that. But that's what we want. And so sometimes you have to be quite difficult, quite hard on the person to say no. You have to be insistent and say, okay, no, this is what we want because this is the style that we're going for. And you have to kind of like be on it. So one thing when it comes to building here is you have to be prepared to be in it wholeheartedly, and you have to be ready. It's not an easy process, that's for sure. Because like I say, getting the right artisans to do things, getting people to understand what you're saying, communication, it can be a lot. So sometimes it can feel quite stressful, but you know, you're going for your end result. So once you start building a house, you can't really stop and leave it and say, you know what, okay, we give up, we're not going to do it. You have to go through the process and you have to finish it. And another thing is that when it comes to timelines as well, be flexible. As you have seen for yourself, I had a timeline of December, and it hasn't really worked out that way because we've had a bit of a delay with the PAP work going on. And you know, we didn't really want to rush them and say, can you hurry up? You said 2 weeks, hurry up. It's been about 3 weeks now, and they're just at the end of what they're doing there. So in a couple of days they'll be finished. But it's like things like that can delay you because it delays the next trade coming in, so it can slow things down. So always be prepared. That even though you've planned something on paper and you have all your plans and all of that, different things can be thrown up. So another thing I would say when it comes to building is be prepared to sometimes change your plans. Sometimes when you see something coming up from the ground, it may not be what you expected it to be. So sometimes there are going to be changes, and you have to decide for yourself whether you think, okay, you know what, it's worth me spending that little bit more for this change, or can I live with this change? You know, it's not always a money matter. Sometimes there are some things where you have to overlook the cost because it will annoy you in a couple of months or in a year's time. You think, oh, I wish I had just changed this thing because I'm not happy with it. So sometimes there's like a little bit of give and take. Now I know that some of these things that I'm mentioning right now don't just necessarily apply to Africa, they apply to outside as well. But as a whole, this is definitely what we've experienced here, being in Africa and trying to build a home. Like I say, there have been challenges, but there have been good things as well. What else would I say? Yes, so artisans can be a really difficult one to come by. I'd say now as the longer we've been in Ghana, because we've been here almost 7 years now we can see that there are much more artisans becoming available to you, but obviously everything comes at a cost. So I know that sometimes when I put out videos, some of you say to me, oh, is it Ghana made? Or is it this? Or is it... And sometimes it's not always. And one thing you have to understand, I'm picking my words here, so bear with me. One thing you have to understand is sometimes if you want a really high quality finish, sometimes that person may not be Ghanaian. I'm sorry to say, sometimes they may not be. Sometimes they are. There are good ones if you can find them. I'm not saying they're not. There are good ones. There are very good artists, like specialized, like really, really good ones. But it's a case of finding them. And a lot of things here in Ghana are word of mouth. So if someone hasn't told you about that person, you wouldn't know. So it's definitely a thing of having more exposure when it comes to finding these Ghanaian or African artisans to be able to kind of give you what you want. As you saw, Zach came in and did that POP masterpiece that he did, the African design on the ceiling for us, and that was just, honestly, that was just mind blowing when he finished. I had about this much faith that he would do what he said that he could do. I wasn't sure. So, but he delivered, and it was amazing. It was amazing what he did. So like, when you find people like that, tell everybody, because it's good for the person, it's good for the economy, it's good for all of that. But when you keep these things to yourself, then it becomes, you know, the person doesn't really get the exposure that they deserve. But sometimes you can't find what you want, and sometimes you have to go to someone perhaps who's not Ghanaian to get what you want. Especially one thing I've noticed when it comes to finishings. Yes, There are good places that you can get tiles from that are Ghanaian owned or whatever. Sometimes they don't have what you're looking for, so you have to go somewhere else. If you want that high quality finishing, sometimes you have to be a bit more flexible. So, but if you want, there's nothing wrong with sticking with purely Ghanaian owned. If you want to have your whole house built purely by Ghanaians, that's fine as well. If you don't mind, that's fine as well. It doesn't matter. But the reason that I'm saying this to you is because sometimes it's not everything that you can find here. It's very difficult to find things in Ghana. But as I say, it's getting better. More things are being exposed. More beautiful homes are popping up. More and more exposure is coming to people, where you get people that can do really, really good stuff. So just be aware of that. When it comes to building a house here, the structure is not where your main cost goes. We have realized that it's actually in the finishing where we're finding the most of our costs. So although we haven't really even got to, we're only just now entering like the finishing stages of doing our house and trying to put certain things in, that's where we're seeing the most cost is. Because when it comes to like buying blocks and buying cement, yes, it's a bit pricey, but it's not like, oh gosh, this is crazy. But it's the finishing, depending on the finishing that you want. So you can get a house and you can build a house for, I don't know, $30,000 if you want, or $50,000 if you want. But it's what your finish is going to be like. You know, you can have a house where you have all kind of zigzag tiles all over the place. You can have a house where the tiles are just look beautiful and flawless and will last you many years. It just depends on what you want. But yeah, so if you're going to be building a house here in Ghana especially, just be prepared that, you know, communication, materials, artisans, trades, reliability, there are so many things that you have to factor in. Things may not run smoothly for you. Just be prepared for all of that, and just have that resistance, because building a house is not easy. Anywhere, full stop. It is highly, highly stressful, which is why I guess people take the option to buy. But I personally think that if you've got the grit to build, it's better to build, because then you get what you want. Yeah, and that is it for today's video, guys. I hope you've managed to make it to the end. I know I kind of went on a little bit. I hope I haven't spoken too fast as well. I try to slow it down sometimes, but it doesn't always happen. But yeah, anyway, that is it for today, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button for me, hit the notification bell, and do me a favor, please don't forget to like, comment, and share this video for me. And until next time, guys, I am out. Nutsi Fafa.